Hi boys and girls, happy Tuesday. This lesson is going to be introducing our new letter for the week, which sounds a lot like this. So I'm going to read my sentence to you and I want you to see if you can find the sound of the letter that we're going to be working on. Remember, the sound will be heard a few times, okay? Isabella Igley is inside. Let me say it again. Isabella Igley is inside. What sound do you hear over and over and over? Isabella Igley is inside. See how my nose is scrunching? We've done this sound before, but we haven't learned this letter yet. I is the sound that we hear. I. So we have a motion for this one. I. We are learning the letter I. Now notice, what color is this card? I says I. It's yellow. What color are our other cards? They're white, aren't they? Now, what was the difference between the white cards and the yellow cards? Think about what other cards were yellow. A says ah. O says ah. These are our vowels. So I is a vowel. I. Is I voiced or unvoiced? Put your hand on your throat. I. It's voiced. We can feel vibrations in our throat when we say I. Now think about where I is in the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So it's about in the middle. It's right after H, H, I, J. H, I, J. This is lowercase I. And this is uppercase or capital I. Okay, think of some things that start with I. Insect, insect, igloo. There's some names. Isabella. There are places inside. Try to think of some other words that start with I. And we can find the sound I in other words. So, bit. Oh, my sister bit me. It. We can find that sound I in the middle of words as well. Okay, so I says I. Now, I believe I've taught you how to make this letter before because we use it so much when we write. What we do is we start at the top. We're in the living room. We go down, and then we pick our pencil back up to make the dot. Okay, let's take a look with our house paper and our green crayon. All right, so for our letter formation, we need our house formation paper, our screen, and our green crayon. So let's take a look at the lowercase letter I. If we notice where our I is in the living room and in the attic. Notice how none of our I goes into the basement. When we form our I, we start on the ceiling of the living room and we go straight down to touch the floor. And then we pick our pencil up, go all the way up into the attic and draw our dot. So put your screen over your letter I, get your finger of your hand that you write with ready to go. We start on the ceiling of the house, and I want you to say with me, I says I. Ready? I says I. I says I. I says I. Okay, put your screen under your paper. Make sure your screen is under your letter I where you're about to trace. Go to your starting point and let's trace. Ready? I says I. I says I. I says I. Make sure your screen is under your dotted I. It shows you where to start. And let's trace again. I says I. I says I. I says I. Now it's your turn to draw some awesome eyes on the rest of this house paper. Remember, as you draw, you want to be saying, I says if. I says if. I says if. Stop after you make one and look at it. Did you start on the ceiling, go through the living room down to the floor? Is your dot right in the center of the attic? I says if. If you're making mistakes, you need to slow down and be the boss of you. Make sure that you're staying where you need to be and that you're tracing where you need to be. Now let's do our bottom house paper. It's the same thing, just a little smaller. I says if. 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 Fill up the rest of this bottom line. Make sure your screen stays underneath and circle your favorite one.